so many recipes on Instagram and TikTok that claim to be healthy, but they don't even focus on overall calories or even macros. And that's really strange because you can definitely increase a lot of body fat even if you are eating healthy. And this is exactly why all of my recipes have the calories and macros there for you. So even if you don't track your food, you're still going to be aware of the portions, which is so important when it comes to losing body fat and building muscle and just feeling good within your digestion, because if you are over consuming a lot of calories, you're still going to feel bloated. 5 reasons that you may not be losing body fat where you might not even realize. Take a look at the drinks that you are having. When I first entered my dieting phase, the first thing I took out was the milk in my coffee, and that literally gave me back a nearly 150 calories per day because I was having a full cream organic milk. So that's massive. Like, that is the difference between you sticking to your diet and you not. I highly recommend educating yourself on the overall calories that are in the drinks that you're consuming. The oils that you're using. So I love grass-fed butter. It is so nutrient dense, but it's also a fat source and it doesn't necessarily fill you up. So just be aware of how much you are using. Use a teaspoon, use a tablespoon, or measure it out so you can begin to become aware of what it actually looks like. Sauces, so this is a really big one. If you're buying sauces, even if you're making them at home, if you're using a full cream or like a full whole milk yogurt, it's still going to be reasonably high fat. So try and keep portion control with that. Aim for like 2 tablespoons or a tablespoon if you are having a lot of sauce throughout the day. Although red meat and beef is absolutely amazing for you, I love it, I have it every single day, it still has a reasonable amount of fat. And if you're already in a fat loss phase, then this is something you need to take into account. For example, the beef mince that I use, per 100 grams, it has around 12 grams of fat. So that's more than 1/5 of my fat intake. So it's something that I do need to be aware of. If you are finding your fat content is reasonably high, obviously look at all those other things that I've mentioned, like the sauces and the drinks, but you can also look at adding in some more chicken breast in. I've added heaps of recipes in my ebook for chicken breast because I was finding a lot of clients steering more towards beef, and while beef is so good, it's nutrient dense, it's also got that high fat content, so it's really good to have some chicken recipes. And the last thing I'd look out for is your meal timing. So it's not something we always think about. We're like, oh, when I wake up, I'll just have breakfast. Just eating for kind of the fun of it. Or are we just eating out of boredom? And could we move those meals back to actually support our fat loss phase in a better way? So for me, I personally push my first meal back as much as I can. I make sure to have some EEAs upon awakening, definitely, especially if my first meal is like 12 or 1. Now, this isn't going to work for everyone, but for yourself, if you have breakfast in the morning, do you have to be having your mid-time snack, that kind of thing? Or can you push that back towards that nighttime, which is generally when a lot of people will be over-consuming their calories? Now, this isn't me saying eat all your calories before you go to bed. Definitely don't do that. But you've got to meet yourself where you're at. If you're finding yourself over-consuming calories, where in the day aren't you as hungry, or where you're working, where your mind's busier, can you put some more of the calories towards the later part of the day that will further support you? To just overall think about, okay, my day and where my food is, where I'm having it, because you don't want to obviously be too hungry for too long, especially when you're just like bored at home, for example. You're probably always over consuming.